Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to TechnoLive Intermediate. And, it's an interesting one today because this is the 5th of November. So remember, it's Guy Fawkes Night, or Fireworks Night, or Bonfire Night, or whatever you want to call it. But, boy, what a good day it is for it. I'm not sure about the rest of Wales, but Swansea's beautifully sunny, and it's going to be some fantastically clear skies tonight. Excellent for the fireworks. I'm looking forward to looking at the beach and seeing them all turn up for some pretty colours in the sky. So yeah, if you are off tonight to watch some fireworks, be safe, socially distance, don't eat any sparklers, and you should be alright. Anyway, I thought we'd have a sort of chilled, laid-back stream today. Mostly because I want to put all my energy into just watching some beautiful fireworks tonight. And, it's going to be cold, it's going to be chilly. I'll need my energy to keep warm for that. But I thought, it's fireworks night. Why not make some fireworks? And we're gonna do that. We're gonna make some wonderful simulated fireworks. But before I get along with that, here's the schedule for this week. We had a very good TechnoClub on Monday. Dan did a wonderful TechnoLive starter on microbits. He did a couple of firework animations on microbits. We had another good TechnoClub on Wednesday, and that brings us to Thursday. And this is our first week of the new schedule, so take a picture of this, get it tattooed maybe. But that's what we are going for. And a couple of websites to bear in mind. We've got bit.ly/technoclubs. I know it says TechnoClubs, but it's for both TechnoClubs and TechnoLive. And that's got on there a couple of useful links. Let me just get it up, actually. TechnoClubs. It's undergoing a little bit of maintenance. It's not quite finished yet. In fact, I'd call this quite ugly. I'm working on it. But we have a TechnoLive starter page and a TechnoLive intermediate page up around by the top here. And you can actually watch live from here. So no need to go to YouTube, no need to mess around much. You can find a link here to today's session, and also an archive of all our sessions. But this one's the first one, so that's just sitting in there nice and pretty. If you look at the other link, technocamps.com, I recommend going to this, mostly because if you want to get in touch with me during the stream, maybe you haven't got your code to work, or maybe you want to make a point or just chip in. If you go to technocamps.com, wait for it to load, you can see this button down in the bottom right. Click here to chat with one of our delivery team, and if you consent, data protection, all that, you can have a little natter with me. I'll be monitoring that during the stream, so any problems, just give me a bell on there. Okay, with that out of the way, the eagle-eyed of you may have spotted that, again, we're going to use arcade.makecode.com. I'm sorry, I keep going on about MakeCode Arcade, but I don't know, something about it just keeps drawing me in. So I did try to do what I intended to do today using a little bit of Python processing, but couldn't get anything to work that was online. So we're stuck with MakeCode today, but I'm not complaining. It's my favourite. So we're just going to go to arcade.makecode.com. Let me maximize that. Click new project. What's the name of our project going to be? Well, it's Bonfire Night. I want to make a fireworks simulator. Let's call this Penny for the Guy. Not many people do that nowadays. I never did, but as a child. But yeah, you'd go around and you ask for a penny for the Guy Fawkes that you'd made. You know, to pop on the bonfire, of course. But penny for the guy. Let's just do a nice little chilled, fun little fireworks simulator. Okay, let's do something different this time. Let's start with the background. Yeah, why not? Let's go scene, set background image 2. Yeah, let's do that. Let's then click on this grey square. It really disappoints me that the only 2 options that MakeCode Arcade has are pointy mountains with grass or pointy mountains. It's a bit, you know, they could put some real good artwork there. But no, we're stuck with either choosing those 2 or drawing our own. What should I do? Let's go for a nice, soothing, sort of nighttime scene. Let's go black. Yeah, let's do that. Let's I'm trying out a new graphics tablet today, so that's why my movements are so erratic. I should have probably practiced beforehand, but okay, that's bad. This might not have been a wise decision. Maybe I should just stick with the mouse. No, let's give it a go. I want to try it. Let's do some nice. Now, too rad. Mouse is easier. Let's ditch the tablet and just go for a mouse. Just gives us so much more control. Let's just do a couple of nice, rounded, meandering hills. Too steep on that one. Yeah, why not? Let's go like that. And if we fill it in. So, there's not much by way of colour in MakeCode Arcade. You've just got this palette here. I mean, you can update the palette, but let's like just make that a little bit neater. Let's just round that off. There we are. Got a couple of hills. Maybe that one shouldn't be so flat. There we are. And let's do a cloud. Let's do a sort of grey. I mean, it's a bit bright for a cloud, but it's the only. Actually, if I make it that kind of lilac colour, there we are. Let's add some stars. Do I want them yellow or white? Let's do it white. Let's just a couple of stars in. All sort of random, like, just don't want to go overboard. I know there's a lot of stars in the universe, but not too many. Yeah, that'll do. What else could we add to that? Tell you what, let's do a little house in the bottom right corner. Let's just do a little Not too tall, actually. I want to make it quite cozy. Oh, that's an awful roof. That was just awful. Let's... Oh. All fingers and thumbs today. Let's get in close on that. Let's do it stepping in twos. There we are. And then if I just block that out in black, we got a nice little silhouette. But how can we improve on this? Well, let's have some yellow light. I need to enunciate. Yellow light spilling out of the house. So if it starts kind of there in the middle from a door, we could have that come out like that. Ooh, move it over a block or two. And it's really ugly at the moment, but if I do a little bit of differing on that, as in I get some of the purple and I sort of begin alternating. We covered differing in the last one, didn't we? Ooh. It's always hard differing on an angle, though. But yeah, something a bit like that, and maybe I could go another layer in. Oops, just a little bit more purple. Lovely. Yeah, it's a little bit harsh, the yellow against the purple, but I think it just adds a little bit extra to the scene. Because otherwise, all you've just got is some purple mounds. Nearly there. Oh, this is where it starts frying my brain. There we are. Just dither it up. Dither, 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 dither. All of a dither today. And then just a second row in there. Yeah. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's just a little bit more texture to the scene. Just makes it a little bit more... You know, it's not so all one colour at the same time. And let's add some little people. Let's just add some people into the scene, just enjoying the fireworks. I'm going to have them up on the hill, so just a couple of pixels at a time. And we're going to have them in silhouette. So all it needs is just a line or two. That's one person, another... Maybe a small child. Another. Ooh, made that one a bit chunky, a bit larger. And yeah, let's just. Ooh, I nearly had someone lying down there. That wouldn't have been too useful. There we are. Just a couple of people watching on the hillside as some fireworks go off. And yeah, that's just all we need for that, really. Just something a little bit... just set in the background. Okay, we probably need to send up a rocket as well, so let's do that. Let's go sprites. Let's make a new sprite. And actually, no, let's not do that. Let's do that in a function. So let's do that in an event, so we can have it just happening randomly every now and then. If we go game, on game update every 500 milliseconds, this will happen quite regularly. We can adjust that so it happens less regularly. Let's do it every 2 seconds. We could go sprite, create a sprite, and we could make that sprite. Let's rename my sprite first, because as you all know by now, I hate my sprite as a word. Let's change that to rocket. Let's do just a quick little rocket design. Let's make that 8 pixels wide, so we got something a little bit more rocket shaped. Oh, that's going to be quite a chunky rocket, isn't it? No. Yeah, that'll do it. Blue? Yeah, blue. And just a couple of stripes. And fire, because what's a rocket without a little bit of fire? Orange? Yeah, let's get orange all up in there. And then yeah, that'll do it. I could move it up, but no, I won't. Let's just give it a little cap. Ooh. And let's make that one green. So every 2 seconds we're going to fire off a rocket. We should probably have it so it appears off the screen though, because at the moment it appears by default in the middle of the screen. That's no use to anyone. Let's stick it at the bottom. Okay, so to do that I'm going to go sprites, set my sprite position, rocket, and let's choose a value that is below the what do you call it? Below the bottom of the screen. So 200, that'll do it. Because the screen is 120 pixels tall, let's stick it below that. Actually, let's just go 140. It's close enough, isn't it? We also need it going upwards. So if we go sprites, we can set the velocity of the rocket. Well, we don't want it going sideways at all, so Vx should be 0, but we do want it going up. So Vy, the y velocity, should probably be minus, let's try 100, see if that's fast enough. Kind of a small problem. I forgot to position it in the x coordinate. So at the moment it's stuck on x equals 0, which is just sending it up the side. That's no use to us. Let's make that halfway up across the screen is 160, isn't it? So no, the screen itself is 160 pixels wide, so I need half of that, which is 80. Yeah, 80. Let's give that a go. Yeah, and that's popping up nicely. I should probably get it exploding at some point. So we're going to need a timer. Let's make a timer then. I've been thinking actually, if we've got this on-game update every 200 milliseconds to fire a rocket, we want a timer to apply to each rocket that is fired. So it's probably easier to stick that in a function. So let's go advanced. Let's go functions. Make new function. I'm going to call this one the fire rocket function, just because that makes more sense to me. And I'm going to actually move all this gubbins into there instead. So we're just going to handle all of our rocket firing from one function. And rather than use the on-game update every 200 milliseconds, if I go functions, I can call that function from there. That might be a neater way of doing things, actually. We might want to add more things into this on-game update, you see. Yeah, so it still behaves exactly the same because all we've done is move the code to a different function. Oop, wrong button. Okay, what can we do instead then? If we if we start our timer in this function, as soon as the rocket's created, a timer is started. Let's do that. Let's go variables, make a variable, timer, and we can set the timer to 0. So we set the timer to 0. We create the rocket sprite. We set its position. We set its velocity. If we now make a loop, yeah, and then we do a repeat so many times. Let's say 4 times. Yeah, repeat every 4 times. And what do we do? Well, we could pause for 100 milliseconds. Then we could change the timer by 1. So every 100 milliseconds, we add 1 onto the timer. And that happens 4 times, so that would be 400 milliseconds. If we change that to 5, it would be 5 times 100 milliseconds, so 500 milliseconds. If we change this pause down here instead to seconds, it'll be 5 times 100 milliseconds, which is 5 seconds. So I'm going to change that. No, actually, let's keep it on 5 times and 100 milliseconds. So that'll be half a second. That'll be 5 times 100, 500. And that's half a second. Okay. What we should do after it's counted up then is we should probably explode the rocket. Will that work in tandem? Let's give it a go. Let's then go sprites, destroy the rocket with, and if I click the plus, I can add effects onto it. So let's make that a fire effect. Let's see if that works. Oh, well, it happened down there, and it keeps happening down there. Okay, maybe we need to make our time longer. So make that 1 second, and if we have it 1 second happens once. No, it just keeps destroying as soon as it's created. That's not so great. Trouble is, I don't know whether Mako does any parallelism. I know what we can do. Let's get that out there for a second. Let's try it with an if. We could say if, and we use a comparison block, if timer is greater than, if that's happening one time, is greater than or equal to 1, we can destroy the rocket and we can reset the timer. Yeah, so set timer to 0. Let's give that a go. No, it's still destroying at the bottom. Ooh. Trouble is, I'm trying to remember back to when I planned this out. I definitely had some solution working, but I can't remember what that solution is. Wrong button again. Set timer to 0. Destroy fire effect. That's just repeating constantly, but it's not actually doing anything of its own accord. I know I didn't do this with a game update, but I'm thinking now that game update might be the only solution. I just can't remember. Let's take that code out for a second. Set the timer to 0. If we move fire rocket to on start, and then every 1 second we update timer by 1, then, if we get rid of that repeat out of there, and we grab our if timer is greater than or equal to 1 code, so every 1 second we change timer by 1. If timer is greater than whatever your time limit is, so 2 seconds, 3 seconds, 100 seconds, let's go 2 seconds. Then we destroy the rocket and we set the timer to 0. So that'll constantly tick through the timer. Good-o. Let's give that. There we are. There's our rocket, and it explodes at the right point. Ooh. Let's just show that again. There we are. If we... that would be better. If we instead destroy the rocket as soon as it's created, but we give it a long destroy time, let's see if that works. Yeah, it looks like it's got a trail going upwards. That looks quite effective, actually. Let's make that 1 second. If we wanted more precise timing on this, we could change that down to milliseconds. Yeah. So we need to add a little bit more impact to what on earth is happening with our explosion, because at the moment, not only is it silent, but it's kind of terrible. We should probably make our explosion a little bit more fancy. So if we go to functions, make a function, and we're going to have a explode. I can't write explode today. Explode rocket. What do we want when we explode? Well, the first thing I want is to make a really cool sound. But how can we do that on a MakeCode arcade device? That's an interesting one. And I'm quite chuffed. Well, I say chuffed. I'm quite smug with the solution I came up with. But if we go to the music tab, we don't have many options for making any kind of chunky explosion sounds. There is no explosion sound effect. It's all tones, like play tone at middle C for half a beat. If I stick that in, and I hope it's not too loud because it's horrible noise. Yeah, it's got it makes a, I believe it does a sine wave noise, which isn't that great actually. It's not a good sound effect. So one way I discovered to make a sort of explosion sound is to play notes that are really low frequency very, very fast. So if we go functions again, we're very function heavy today, and we make a function. Ooh. And there we go. And if we make that a, what should I call this? Make noise function. What we could do in this one, so if we go music and play tone for so many beats, we could actually get it to play a random tone for a random amount of time. But if we made that a really low note, so let's stick the randoms in first. Let's go math. Let's find pick random. And 0 is going to be useless to us because it won't make any noise whatsoever. If we go the really low, like 10, to not so low, like 50. And if we go math again and pick random, if we stick a number in this beat section, it will understand it as milliseconds rather than beats. So the pick random acts as a number, so it's gonna use an amount of milliseconds that is going to be quite small. So we could play it from between 10 milliseconds to 20 milliseconds. Let's do it 1 millisecond to 20 milliseconds. And this will just play it once. So if we run this function, I'm just going to, for now, temporarily put that call make noise function in on start, just to test it out. I don't know whether you heard that. It might not come through. In fact, it might even be out of human hearing range. If you listen very carefully. Did you hear that kind of sound? That's the very low note. And we can use that. If we play lots of these random notes, we can actually make a kind of quite fancy rumble effect. If we go loops again, this is where I picked up the repeat 4 times loop. If I change that number to something like 40, when I click play, it should make a kind of rumbling explosion. Did you get that? There we are. That's not bad, actually. And we could tweak how it sounds by changing any of these numbers. So 40 is quite long. We can make it shorter by changing that to 30. We can make it lower. We could add some more high notes in there by changing the second pick random number to something higher, like 100. And we could change the length of time to be shorter or faster. Let's pop that up to 30, see what we get. See, that was a little bit more crunchy, that one. I might want something so much like, I want it quite staccato, quite oomph. No. I know, it's a fun thing to experiment around with. Put numbers in that you think will work. See, that went on quite a bit longer. There we are. That's doable. But now I'm going to make sure I take it out of my onStart function, because otherwise, I mean, what's the point? Just playing the explosion sound as soon as we start the game. So just going to click that and delete. Okay, so we're firing a rocket every... No, we're not. We're firing a rocket when the game starts. Then every 1 millisecond, sorry, every 1 second, we increment a timer. When that timer is up, well, nothing happens. So we need to have something that occurs when the timer is up. And that's going to be our explode rocket function. So set timer to 0, that's correct. And now if we call explode rocket when the timer finishes, we can actually start adding some fun stuff into the explode rocket routine. Now I know inside the explode rocket function we're going to need a make noise function call, but I'm going to put that last. I'm not going to put it in right now. And maybe when I get around to it, explain why. But it's going to go in there, but just not now. Instead, what we should focus on is making all the pretty effects that come when we launch the rocket. When we, explode the rocket. And one thing we could probably do with is some particles. Now, particles are always interesting in video game design. In fact, you can actually get a lot of wrong one. You can get a lot of scientific papers about particles because they're very interesting to program and code for, and they actually take up a lot of memory because that's thousands upon thousands of objects, and yet they're interacting with the environment and they're doing all sorts of very interesting interactions. So that was just a couple of websites showing off particles. But as you can see, there are lots to do with particles online because it's a large area of video game design, believe it or not. We can't really do particles traditionally in MakeCode, so we're going to do our own. What we're going to do is we're going to go loops, and we're going to get another repeat block, and this is going to be the number of particles. So we could say 10 particles. 10 will do nicely. And what we can then do here is if we go sprites, we can create a sprite. So this is going to be, let's rename it and call it particle. We can actually design one. I'm going to make this canvas very small though, because the larger we make the sprite canvas, the more memory each particle will take up. So you want to make it as tiny as possible. So I'm going to make this 3 pixels by 3 pixels. So we only have 9 pixels to draw our particle with. Let's do it a nice orange. Yeah, with a red center. Nice. So when the rocket explodes, it'll create a load of particles. We should probably tell the particles to go to the right place, because at the moment they'll just spawn in the middle of the screen where they need to spawn where the rocket is. So if we go sprites, set my sprite position to, we change that to particle, and the X position should be the X position of the rocket, and the Y position should be the Y position of the rocket. So to grab those, we're going to go sprites, my sprite X, but change that to rocket, sprites, my sprite X, but change that to rocket, and change that to Y. If these are going out, we should probably give them some velocity as well. So let's go sprites again, and we can set my sprite velocity. Let's change that to particle. And rather than 50 horizontal velocity, 50 Y velocity, which means they'll go in down the right hand corner. Let's make that random. Let's get 2 random thingy majiggers in. Oh, a real Forester D? Nah. Albist Alba. If we get 2 pick randoms, we can put some velocity ranges in. So we want to go left to right, so we could have minus being the minimum number. So it can go left. Let's do minus 60 to positive 60. So either it could go minus 60 left or 60 right or any amount in between. And for the Y, yeah, let's do the same. Let's see how it looks. Minus 60 to 60. Let's see if that does much. Ooh, that's quite nice. And funny enough, as soon as I said that, a rocket just went off. We got a nice little firework effect. It's quite pleasant, that. Let's see how many we can add before it makes the game chug. So we've got 10 particles on the go. Let's see what happens when we get 100 particles. Oh, it doesn't like it. Oh, that's quite nice. We're slowing down though. I want them to have more pizzazz. I'm going to make them yellow. There we are. That is quite pleasant. We should probably also tie that in with our exploding sound effect that we made, the make noise function. So let's go functions. We're going to call make noise, and I'm going to put it at the very end of this. And the reason why is when it makes noise, any tone that the Make Code Arcade plays, it takes up a lot of CPU cycles. It takes a lot of power to be able to play music. So if you put that before, it would play the music first, then it would fire the rocket. Set the rocket off, which is the wrong order. You need to play the noise at the end. So let's give it a go. There we are. And it keeps exploding just because we haven't done something correct with our rocket. With our rocket timings, we probably need a variable that makes sure that we only count the timer if a rocket has been fired. So function fire rocket, we should go variables, make a variable rocket fired, and at the start of our fire rocket function, I'm going to set that to, if I go logic, false. There we are. That should work quite nicely. And then for our on-game update, we should say if the timer, sorry, if rocket fired, what am I talking about? That should be true. If rocket fired, true. If it's true, then count the timer. So logic, if, and I'm going to put it around the whole thing because why not? At this point, we can say if the rocket fired, so let's go logic, let's go comparison up. And variables, rocket fired. Rocket fired equals true. Then, and only then, can we update the timer. We also need to probably turn the rocket fired off at some point. When better to do that when we explode the rocket. So variables, set rocket fired to logic false. Wait for that error to go away. There we are. Lovely jubbly. There we are. Now it'll only fire when we have a rocket going off. We should probably fix the particles doing their thing. I mean, that one's just having a little stroll across the screen. It's less useful to us. But first, do you want to do it that way? Can we? I've never tried this before. I'm just thinking about it. Can we change the colour of the sprite randomly? Let's give that a go. Sprites. Is anything there? Now I can update its image. Scene sometimes has imagey stuff in it. No images. Ooh. Oh, that's interesting. Yes. Yes, that will do it. So, yeah, in the images section, which is in the advanced tab, we have this option to change colour in picture from one colour to another colour. If we pop that in the particles, just under where we create a particle, what we could do is change colour in particle. Will that work? No, it won't. No, because that's treating it as a sprite. Let's delete that block for now. If we... Yeah, if actually we go to on start instead, and we go to images, not images, sorry, variables, make a variable, and this is going to be the particle sprite, not sprite, particle image. It's going to be the image of the particle. If we on start set the particle image to, and then in here, if I go images, I can go to the create section and get a blank image up. And here, I could change the canvas size to 3 by 3. And yeah, I could draw what my particle looks like. It's just going to be a little dot. And then, when we explode the rocket... this is where it gets interesting. We could go images, change color in picture, grab that, change color in the particle image from black, which is the one I made it with up there, and then change it to a random color. But how do we get a random color? Well, in MakeCode, the colors are actually a set of numbers. So transparent is number 0, white is number 1, red is number 2, pink is number 3, all the way up to black, which is number 15. So if we pick a random number from, let's say, 1 to 15, let's try that. Let's go math. Let's pick random. And we don't want to use 0 because 0 is transparent, which means we would never see our particle. So I'm going to change that to a 1 and change that to a 15. And it should pick a random color to be the particle. And then, when we set the particle to sprite of kind player, if instead of using this grey blob bit here, we go variables, particle image. Whoa. Are we going to get something fancy? I don't know. I literally just thought about this now. Oh, yes. We got teal that time. Excellent. Oh, I'm well chuffed with that. Let's run it again. Here we get green. Blue. Green again. Kind of weird beige. I've never seen a beige firework. Has anyone seen a beige firework? And for that matter, has anyone seen a black firework? No. Huh. Weird. Okay, what else can we do to expand on this? I'm aware I've only got 8 minutes or so left before the end of the stream, but what can we add to it? Well, if we go to our explode rocket function, rather than creating a new particle every time, do I want to do that? No. What I was thinking of doing was creating a list of particles, and then we could do things like add gravity to them and so on. But I don't think that's a wise use of our time, actually. In fact, if you want to explore doing that, I cover that in one of the past live streams. Back when we were calling them something else, technocamps.com. Activity packs. Where did I do it? Was it Virtual TechnoClub Series 2? It was... yeah, back in September I did one on ornate orbits, well, orbital mechanics. That one was, you could use elements from that. If I can even open it up. No, I can't. You could use elements from that live stream to act for the particles here, so you could actually give the particles gravity. You could also give them a lifespan, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to quickly give the rocket some gravity. So we could go game, on game update, logic, if Yeah, let's use a comparison. Now let's make that less than. Sprites. If the let's go for this one, this oval My Sprite X. Well, we're going to change that to rocket, and we're going to change that from X to Vy, Y velocity. If the rocket's Y velocity is less than 200, then what do we do? Well, we need to change the Y velocity of the rocket. So change rocket Y velocity by 10. And that should just add a little bit of realism to the rocket. So rather than flying up and carrying on up, well, actually it's just crashing at the moment. Whoops. It should get to the top and then just kind of hang there momentarily. Where do we set the rocket velocity? At the moment it's at minus 100. Let's see what minus 200 does for it. Oh. No, it just popped up and went straight down. Let's make that minus 500. Too fast. Minus 300. Okay, so the gravity is a little bit keen. It popped up, hung up there for a second, and then plummeted, then exploded. Which means gravity's a bit fast. So let's turn that down to 8. See if that improves it. Close enough. It does a little bit of a backtrack, but we can adjust that if we fine-tune our timing. So we could change that by changing that to a millisecond count and change that to a higher number to compensate for the millisecond count. So make that 20. Ooh. Not quite. Yeah, let's make that a little bit shorter. Let's make that 15. Okay, so the big pause that's happening before it explodes is whilst it's loading in all the particles. And because we've got 100 particles, you can see that's taking a mighty long time, causing a couple of issues. So there's a couple of limitations to it. We could fix that by reducing the number of the particles, or we could fix that by making the particles smaller and on the canvas, or if we just want to mess the world up, we can make that higher, make that 1,000 particles. Let's see what happens. Oh, that's a big pause. Oh, oh, holy frame rate. That was quite impressive. I need to see that again. Oh my goodness. You can actually see how it speeds up when they hit the wall. That's because that's when they get deleted. They get deleted as soon as they leave the screen. So it's really slow, really slow, really slow. Then some start getting deleted and it suddenly speeds up. Okay, that's quite fun. As a finale, let's just see what happens when I put in... how mean do I want to be to my computer? Let's put in 5,000 particles. Oh dear. Oh no. Oh no. That's not a good sign. Let's restart, see if he'll do it at all. I think we're kind of stuffed. Well, I hope you've had a lovely evening and have enjoyed this stream. If you are heading out tonight to watch some fireworks, stay safe. And if not, then excellent opportunity to have a little play around with MakeCode Arcade. If you're a regular viewer and you're a bit sick of MakeCode, don't worry, it's changing next week. Got a whole lot of interesting stuff lined up. Maybe not as much educational learning stuff, but I mean, who wants to do any of that anyway? But I can promise what will be coming will be interesting. In any case, that's it from me and my crashed MakeCode. Let's see if I can escape from that at all. Oh no, it's doing something. It's actually doing it. Oh, wow. Okay. That's a visual treat. Yeah, I've ruined MakeCode, but in any case, just remember that we have a lovely little schedule on the go. If you want to join us for TechnoClubs, there should be a new sign up, a new sign up link coming out soon. I really recommend getting on board for that. I believe next term on Monday's TechnoClubs we should be doing a little bit of Minecraft modding, and on Wednesday's TechnoClubs, oh sorry, I've forgotten what that is. Sorry, Dan. Dan runs Wednesday TechnoClubs. Of course, we've got TechnoLive Starter on Tuesdays and TechnoLive Intermediate on Thursdays. Everything starts at 4:30. The TechnoLives you can just tune into YouTube, but the TechnoClubs you need to sign up for. And in any case, I hope you've had a wonderful evening. You can always find this stream available to watch again on bit.ly/technoclubs. And with that, ta-ra!